think about God? A.W. Tozer said that whatever you think about God determines everything about your life. It determines your worldview. It determines who you are. It determines your view of reality. I mean, it even impacts your eternal destiny. I mean, it just makes sense. You can't be wrong about God and still be right with God. Well, have you ever noticed in the Bible when someone is about to do something really important and maybe something really difficult? One of the things God does is He reveals Himself to them. He shows them a little bit of who He is, a little bit of their glory. I mean, Moses saw a burning bush. Elisha, he saw a chariot of fire. Isaiah, he saw the throne room of God. And Ezekiel, he saw God's glory in the midst of this incredible lightning storm. All of those guys were about to do something really difficult. They were in the midst of some pretty dire situations, and God wanted them to see Him as He really was. Well, I'll tell you what, if there's ever a time that I would say we are in a difficult situation, it's now. I mean, for months, the president's been saying that the election was stolen. I mean, last week, rioters stormed the Capitol and actually killed 2 of the guards that were mandated with protecting the place and even guarding the elected officials that work there. Yesterday, they impeached the president. I heard yesterday on the news that they're preparing to have more armed military people in the Capitol in preparation for the inauguration than has ever been since the days of the Civil War. I mean, if we're not in a bad situation, there is no such thing as a bad situation. And if ever God's people needed to be prepared to speak clearly and with clarity for God, it's now. But you know what Scripture tells us? We can't speak for God if we don't have a clear vision of God. It is time for us, as God's people, to step up and see God for who He really is. And you know, to that extent, one of the things we're going to be doing here at Fellowship is we're going to take some time this spring to look at the book of Ezekiel and see how we are supposed to respond to the glory of God. You see, Ezekiel was in a really difficult situation, and God called him to speak out with clarity. But before he spoke out with clarity, God first enabled him to see Him in His glory, to catch a fresh vision of just who He is. This Sunday, I'm starting a series of messages based on the book of Ezekiel, where we see what Ezekiel saw, how God revealed Himself to him, so that Ezekiel would be prepared to speak with clarity for God. I need to be able to speak with clarity for God. You need to speak with clarity for God. And so I want to encourage you, if you don't have a church home, we'd love to have you come and join us. We're in person at 1045 1601 Moores Lane. We're just east of Summerhill Road. If you need to be distant, we're online, and we live stream our services. They start at 1045, but they're available anytime thereafter. It is time for God's people to speak with some clarity. But you can't speak with clarity unless you first have a great vision of who God is, a correct vision of who God is. Come and join us this Sunday. We'd love to have you. God bless. Have a great weekend.